Okay, so picture this. You're fully aware, thoughts racing, but your body frozen, can't move, can't speak. Sounds like science fiction, right?
Yeah, almost a nightmare scenario.
But it was a terrifying reality for many folks back in the early 20th century. We're talking about encephalitis lethargica.
Encephalitis lethargica, or EL, yeah.
This neurological disorder caused a global epidemic.
Huge epidemic. Cases peaked between 1915 and 1926.
It's wild, right? Like, we're talking about 500,000 people affected worldwide. 500,000.
And a third of those, they didn't make it. Tragic.
Absolutely tragic. And for the survivors, many were left in this bizarre state. Doctors called it akinetic mutism. You familiar with that?
Oh, yeah. Basically, you're mentally there, aware of everything, but physically frozen, like a living statue.
Chilling, right? So let's dive into this a bit. What was it actually like to experience EL? You sent me a bunch of research, articles, personal notes, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, it was the onset was super sudden. You'd get this fever, intense lethargy, just overwhelming weakness.
So just feeling totally wiped out.
Completely wiped out. And then boom. Within days, sometimes even hours, this paralysis would set in. The body would just freeze.
But the mind is still going.
Oh, absolutely. The mind is fully alert. You're trapped, completely conscious of your surroundings, but totally unable to interact.
There's a note here, I think it's from a doctor's observation. It mentions some patients could still laugh or cry, even in that paralyzed state.
Yeah, I saw that too. Imagine that, right? Trying to express yourself, but your body just won't cooperate. Some described it as being buried alive. Aware, but utterly helpless.
Oh, man, that's heavy. So what on earth caused this thing?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The leading theory points to a bacteria, a mutated strain of streptococcus.
Streptococcus, like strep throat.
Yeah, possibly related. The idea is this mutated strain somehow triggered an immune response that attacked the brain.
So the body's defenses were actually working against it.
Exactly. Inflammation, damage, the whole 9 yards. But here's the thing. If it was just a mutated form of a common bacteria, why didn't we see more cases? Why was it concentrated in that specific period?
That is a really good question.
It's one of the big mysteries surrounding EL.
And then it just vanished. Poof.
Yep.
After the 1920s, it practically disappeared. Cases dwindled, almost like it just ran its course.
Yeah, the decline is as baffling as the emergence. No clear explanation. Did the bacteria die out? Did human immunity just improve? We just don't know.
But then, we have these sporadic reappearances. You mark some cases in Europe in the 50s and even some reports from China in recent years. Kind of makes you wonder, right?
It does. There's this quote from a 2004 analysis that stuck with me. It says, whatever ailed them is still prevalent. Chilling.
Right. Yeah, almost like a warning. So after all this, what are the big takeaways here? What should our listeners be thinking about?
Well, I think EL teaches us a lot. First, it shows the connection between infectious disease and neurological disorders. We tend to think of them separately, but EL shows how a simple infection can have devastating consequences for the brain.
Right, and it also highlights how much we still don't know.
Absolutely. EL is a stark reminder that we're always learning, that new threats can appear out of nowhere. We need to keep researching, investigating these mysteries to be prepared for whatever comes next.
It really makes you appreciate the little things, doesn't it? Our ability to move, to speak, we take it for granted. EL forces us to confront how fragile those abilities are.
Totally agree. A sobering thought, but important. Makes you value what you have.
Now, here's something to ponder. And this isn't directly from the materials you sent, but it builds on what we've been discussing. What if there are other undiscovered neurological disorders out there, just waiting to emerge?
That's a thought.
Or, even more unsettling, what if EL itself is evolving, preparing for a comeback, like some researchers speculate? Definitely something to think about.
No doubt about that. Gives you chills just thinking about it.
It really does.